Welcome to the Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. I'm your host, Suzan Chin-Taylor, CEO and founder of Creative Raven, the firm that helps wastewater industry contractors and manufacturers unlock the power of digital marketing, AI, and PR to boost sales and opportunities. Whether it's through our online marketing and lead generation programs or providing a fully outsourced marketing department, we are passionate about helping businesses in the wastewater and civil infrastructure sectors not just survive, but thrive in today's digital world. Each episode, I'll be bringing you expert tips and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. Today, we are visiting with Jaymes Lee, who is the founder and president of Knockout Treatment. God, I love that name. So welcome to the show, Jaymes.
Got some doo-doo with you.
Yeah, I love that. So, Jaymes, you've been in the industry for a while, but about a year ago, you decided to jump, feet first, full time into this startup that you began, Knockout Treatment. And, tell us a little bit about your background in the industry and then kind of what pushed you into setting up this startup and that what you envision its role is going to be for the industry.
Answer your two-part question there. First part really being experience and kind of how I got here. It all started in college, believe it or not. Went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, did 5 years out there, enjoyed every single one of them. But to bring the studies short, my main focus was treating dairy waste with algae. Yeah, and we use the algae as a biofeedback to the cattle to try and create this sustainable loop. So at that point, I really got stuck onto sustainable loops, treating water, and kind of the necessity for recycling. So that's where we ended up starting. And fast forward a decade later, I've been through plant management roles, I've been through business development roles, wastewater tech and sales roles, president's roles for private equity startups, vice presidents for business development and in various aspects of the waste industry, whether it's hauling, disposal, water treatment, and of course, hazardous waste.
So now with this company, you're doing a multitude of different things. And I think what makes you interesting, because I was trying to wrap my head around when we were offline. Okay, so exactly what it is that you do, because you created almost this hybrid of the quote unquote wastewater equipment, chemicals, distributor, dealership, but you take it further than just selling people, oh, you want that. Well, here you go. As just almost like a storefront where you're looking to develop you to be a real integrator and a solutions provider for a variety of issues, whether it be in industrial pretreatment, tertiary, as well as municipal treatment, if I'm understanding it correctly. And one of the things that we talked about was these polymers that are sustainable that you're working with. And I wanted you to tell the audience a bit about that and how you see it as a potential game changer in incorporating something like this. You mentioned that was a great way to segue it of that loop, that sustainable loop of waste reuse, waste reuse, waste reuse.
And it really drills down the second part of your first question there. What is knockout treatment? What are we trying to do? And I think a good example everybody understands is there's the right chemical pump for the right application, right? And so whether we're talking about a caustic, an acid, a polymer, or a coagulant, or anything else that would be in that realm of needing a chemical pump, there's always a better pump out there for the right application. No one size fits all. And I think that's really where knockout comes from. That's an example about a very specific application in the wastewater treatment process, but there are similar aspects all across the wastewater treatment line from influent to effluent, right? And what
Right.
knockout treatment is trying to do is bring this in the same example of the chemical pump, bring that dosing curve to the optimal range so that you're only injecting the right amount of chemical you need that no operator or human could really get to, but with an AI involved or machine learning aspect of this kind of sensor, equation, dosing, final initial effluent kind of uh, collaboration, we could find that the AI would help the controller dose that proper amount every single. So we would take that and compound it on other applications, whether it be a DAF, an RO, a UF, any kind of treatment in any other way. That's where we see Knockout providing this AI and specific equipment applications help to the industry.
So you see, as far as our industry goes, a lot of people are very afraid of AI. Like, "Ooh, I don't know." But I also see that, with the shrinking labor force, especially in our industry, I mean, we're doing our best to try to get young people interested in entering this field. Um, but it's a challenge, is that I see AI and technology like what you are proposing to be incorporated into a plant is going to be that thing that's going to perhaps not only solve the problem of the labor force, because fewer people are being charged to do the same amount of work, but also could be an incentive or something that's going to be very attractive to young people to see those facilities that have decided to embrace the technology versus being afraid of it.
That's a really good point, right? We're at this pivot in our life, and it's not just wastewater, right? It's in this
Right.
aspect of everybody's got this looming robot behind them that we call AI and machine learning, and even AI is a loose term because there's RAG, there's self-generated AI, there's base trained AI, and I've taken a quick little Raspberry Pi course, right? Call me aficionado, I'll take it
Sure.
on AI, and it really goes into those levels of detail that it's so new and it's so different. A lot of people don't even understand how to define it. And that really does two things. One, it creates a fear, as you mentioned, and two, an inquiry. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to inquire more about this. And especially in our, they call it the silver tsunami, right? Coming through
Yes.
this waste industry.
Yes.
We need to be able to bring more talent into this pool, and I think that's the right way to do it. There is this ethics problem, right? At Knockout Treatment, we have our own private servers that are hosted locally in our office with our own security to kind of help mitigate that risk and fear. But either way, it's about shifting the job dynamic. Yeah, we may not need operators out running a DAF if I can have my talk, is what we call our AI, our talk AI monitor the system, right? That deletes three operators, a full 3 day shift from the equation, but it adds a supervisor to the AI. So we're really just transitioning the the workload from a physical to a digital kind of responsibility, and somebody is going to have to monitor, assure, and keep that program more or less in line. And I think that's where we'll find a lot of new talent, new ideas, and better ways to kind of solve this age-old issue of not enough work out there, especially for our industry that, find it a little smelly.
Yeah, and I think also, when you were saying that with the young people, is that people are afraid, oh, if I incorporate AI, it's going to get rid of my job. They won't need me. And nothing could be further from the truth because, as you were just pointing out, someone with the expertise and that institutional knowledge is going to have to train that AI. And you were saying, monitor it, is that you just can't leave the AI on its own to make all the decisions. There has to be human intervention. And so I don't see AI as something that's going to replace jobs. It's going to make the work that we have to do easier to do. And also, there are probably, when you're running around putting out fires, that leaves very little time for you to then stay on top of proactive work that still needs to be done in a plant. And so let the AI babysit so that you can use your talents in other areas that need you just as much, not waiting for that other piece of equipment of, oh God, I wish I could get around to that. No, and when you get around to it is when the thing fails, and then it's all hands on deck and everybody's hair is on fire. And so you're absolutely right, is that I think it's going to open up ways of that shift of let us be more proactive than reactive. How can these tools help us shift gears? And that leads me into, what you're saying about earlier about the pumps and AI tools. We talked a little bit offline about um, things that AI can bring to the table, sewer inspection being one of them that's coming to the forefront. But what are some of the other ways that you think we're talking about these data centers. That was where I wanted to go, really wanted to go with this, in especially in that sustainable loop, is that we've got a need for data centers. They're popping up all over the country. They use tremendous amounts of energy and clean water. How do you see, as a technology integrator, that wastewater treatment plants, they've got all this heat energy, they've got all this stuff that's inherent, that how can they partner together with data centers to make use of energy that we've already got, that we're basically throwing away, to power these centers? We need them anyway. What are you seeing there?
This vision I have a client that I work with right now. They're the largest, one of the largest biogas producers on the West Coast, right? And this is not unique to this facility. This
Right.
is to all biogas facilities. But in this time, the winter time, the cold affects the bugs in the anaerobic digestion, right? Whether this is a incoming waste kind of facility, right? A disposal facility that's taking waste in and creating energy, or it's that mom and pop dairy out in the Midwest that needs those digesters to create their electricity for their location. And then you could even table this to the municipal side, right? Where they have their digestion running their electricity units in the cities. I think there's a really big opportunity here that we're right on the cusp of discovering, where we could put data centers right next to anaerobic digesters,
Mm,
feeding off of this reusable loop. The digesters always need heat in the winter. In the summer, not so much, but a little more wouldn't hurt. Likewise, you could use that heat as a dryer, right, to dry some of the digestate or the sludge that they're generating. There's a lot of heat that's needed in the process from influent of digester to effluent of digester, whether that's a sludge coming out, the digester itself needing its heat. There's a lot of opportunity there. So these data centers that are generating all that heat that need water, and the digesters that have water, they got to get rid of their digest, which you could treat to. There right there. There's a bunch of connections for anybody in those industries could see. Wow, that'd be a really good spot to build one, right? And so at this location being some of their bigger uh, consumers of energy and generators of heat, they would highly benefit from a data center being parked next door. And what does that mean? That means you're going to need some real sophisticated level of machine learning and automation to make sure that that heat gets transferred where it needs to go to be the most efficient that it needs to be. And I would say a colleague or a competitor in the space is called AI in Water. They're based out of Chile. They went through the H2O accelerator program.
right.
They have their three staples of how AI can help wastewater treatment in chemical reduction, in anticipated issues in the plant, and regulatory kind of oversight, right? With those big three things coming out of AI and water, imagine if they were to expand, and this is what we're doing and how we kind of distinguish ourselves from the competition, is we're trying to take that and use our equipment kind of data log to say, okay, let's one up that and take the AI to the next level and have them register how each equipment benefits in their own kind of circumstances, and then apply that to these unique use cases like data centers and anaerobic digesters, and really, I wouldn't say have a hands-off approach, but really take this SCADA and operational error issue and delete as much of it as possible, right? And we're in a perfect world. The AI is going to have hiccups. It's not to
Right.
say it's going to be that easy, right? But to have the vision and see that opportunity is the first step in really trying to find these sustainable reuse opportunities where an anaerobic digester and a data center could work for each other instead of against each
Oh, I love that. I love that. Because we have to start thinking about this, because the data centers are popping up. I've had a number of guests on recently where we're going to be in a water crisis mode at the rate that these data centers are popping up. How are we going to supply that water? So we need to think of some other, I guess, more innovative ways to allow us for that innovation for those data centers, but doing it in a sustainable way where we're not going to handcuff ourselves and then wind up being in a water crisis. Really thinking way beyond. We can't wait until we're at that crisis. We need to be getting ahead of the curve now. And what I wanted to wrap up this show with you is because you're involved in so many different things, but one of the big things that's also on the forefront, in addition to AI is, it's been a hot topic, is the PFAS situation. Everybody's worried about it. They're all scrambling. All right, legislation might be coming down. How are we going to be dealing with this? And there's a lot of providers out there that are trying to come up with ways to deal with this. Some good, some not so good. Sometimes, we create these solutions, and then what do we call it? Like drugs? It cures one thing, but then it creates a whole nother set of symptoms and problems that are actually maybe worse than the thing you were trying to resolve in the first place. So I wanted you to share with the audience a little bit about what knockout treatment is doing in the realm of PFAS, because I think it's a very unique approach that you are taking to this very serious issue.
And as you talk about it, it just occurred to me that I may have uh, accidentally ignored a question you were kind of mentioning earlier about carbonate and their nanonet polymers, which is again a key partner in what I'll call our distribution program, where as I communicate this to the listeners, because I know me and you have talked about this offline, is knockout treatment is really a host, kind of like a marketing company, as Red Bull is to their,
Right.
energy drinks is we try and find the latest and greatest technology and put it out in front of the people that need it, right? We have found a polymer that is so competitive on the market and uses half as much polyacrylamide that it is shell shocking, and people don't believe the price that they can offer it at, let alone its performance that is toe to toe with anything on the market, right? There's also an electrocoagulant on the market that is blowing apart any kind of related anode and cathode issues in
Right.
EC, if you're familiar,
Mhm.
that we also have direct access to. And of course, last but not least, this PFAS issue. We have encountered one of the first patented PFAS destruction products using a rare mineral earth catalyst and specific biology to move PFAS from the water column into the sludge. And once it's moved into the sludge, then it can be pyrolyzed. And that's really in any PFAS destruction method, it's always a high temperature, high joule kind of
Mm,
uh, environment to rip apart these PFAS chains. And that's where we have found a PFAS solution that has been proven, patented, and approved by the EPA to use. Now, in selling this, we've encountered a different issue, just kind of as you've mentioned on the prescription drugs, right? We know a lot of people are encapsulating and leaving and storing in other areas, right? Nobody's really wanting to take on the legal liability of destroying PFAS
right.
because of this kind of regulation that's always looming. But now with this president in place, now it's kind of backing off, but it's not to say that it's going to be ignored, right? And nobody's confident enough to really take a step forward and say, hey, I will sign up for that PFAS destruction and I will be ahead of the curve. Everybody in our experience is looking to react instead of prevent, which is
Mhm.
creating this kind of ethical issue of, okay, well, apart from the top three PFAS, right? You have all these other molecules in there that are pretty bad that nobody really wants to go after because they don't have to. And so I've found that that's our market pulse on whether or not people really want to solve the PFAS issue or they're just going to ignore it until they have to deal with
Yeah, and unfortunately, not just with our industry, but most industries, people won't do something until, like you were saying, the regulation comes out. They absolutely have to, or sadly, someone gets grievously hurt or dies.
it. We found that, PFAS is in alarming levels in everybody's blood, and the only way to get rid of it is to donate blood, which is kind of crazy on its own thought. But
So, but then,
yeah,
and you think about that, okay, so it's in your blood, you donate blood to help yourself, but then you're going to be tainting somebody else with your blood that has the PFAS. You're saying it's just like prescription drugs. It's like sometimes the cure is worth, when I hear the TV commercials, side effects may include da 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 da. Like my favorite one was for the Botox cosmetic, and that one of the side effects was ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. A horrible. I had a dear family friend that went out that way, and what a horrible, horrible way to go. But heck, you won't have wrinkles and you'll look great. It's just like what's the trade-off here? And so I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right that we need to be staying ahead of the curve with some of these things and being willing, like you are, or if your listeners are out there, to open up these dialogues with people like Jaymes of, all right, we know we have a problem. Maybe we don't have a perfect solution right now, but what can we do together collectively, pull our minds together, pull our intellectual and intellectual resources and institutional knowledge of having been in this field for so long, that maybe together we can come up with a viable solution. And it goes back to what you were saying, is that we have to be good stewards to make sure that it is that closed loop, that do no harm. Solve one problem, but don't create another problem that's going to create harm. So I really love the approach that your company is taking to these very, very serious issues. And, like we were saying earlier about the human issue of the silver tsunami, that technology can be an answer for that. Technology can be an answer for so many things, but again, it's a double-edged sword. So we need to look at it very, very, very carefully. So Jaymes, thank you for being willing to talk about what I would consider maybe some controversial subjects, but, how can people learn more about what you're doing? And another thing I wanted to ask, are you working? I know you're based in Southern California. Are you only working in the local area, or are you able to help companies on a national or global level?
First, East Coast representative. I was just talking to a colleague of mine. He said Panama City is not the East Coast, that's the South. So I will correct myself and say our first South United States business development man out there. So we are available to help anybody nationally. Our website's going to be a good reference where we talk about kind of a lot of these three things that we mentioned, really the technology we have available to our clients, the PFAS solutions we have, and then likewise this data center idea, all of it with the various links and sign up forms so everybody can find out a little more information. But we are available to help anybody and everybody. Hyundai has just expressed interest in what we're doing, so having them on board, especially for this AI component, they put AI into their car building manufacturing and found a great improvement that now they're trying to find out how to put it in every other aspect, wastewater being one of them. So likewise, any kind of DM, email, phone number if you have it, and if you don't, you can get it. Yeah, we're here to help anybody and everybody, and Mexico will be our next international business opportunity. So we'll keep them coming as they come.
So the website is, if you'd give that to us, please, because Knockout Treatment actually is a brand of veterinary products. So people can find it easily. What is the actual website address?
Website address would be www.knockoutTreat.com.
Excellent. And you can also find Jaymes on LinkedIn, which is how we connected. And if you'll note in the show notes, he has a very unique spelling for his name. It is Jaymes, and his last name is Lee. And so look him up on LinkedIn and check out the website and see what they're up to. And Jaymes, again, thank you for coming onto the show today. And it's been a very interesting, thought-provoking conversation for me. Hope you listeners found that as well, and you'll explore what we've been talking about a little bit further. And so thank you for joining us today. And until next time, keep it flowing. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level and start increasing sales and opportunities for your business, reach out to us at Creative Raven. We're here to help you thrive in the digital landscape. Visit creativeraven.com or click the link in the show notes below to schedule a call and learn how we can support your growth. If you enjoyed the insights on today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep growing and keep it flowing.